Good evening. My name is David, and what I do is I teach people how to pull gold and silver from broken electronics. Tonight, we're going to be covering filters. What type of filters to use, and the reasons why we use them, um, and then hopefully pointing you in a direction to be able to catch your big flakes, your small flakes, and your silver. So let's go ahead and get started. And what we'll do here is we'll just kind of cover what filters we do use. Um, Everyone always knows that the white coffee filters are probably the most go-to. One, because they're cheap. You can get a lot of them for the cost, and they do work for the most part. Um, and it doesn't matter what shape they're in or anything like that, as long as they're effective and they do the job. Now, these again are great, but they're not foolproof. You will lose gold and silver. Many of you will hear me say time and time again, no matter what filters you use, you will lose some silver and gold. No big deal. As long as you're saving your solution, we can always go back and catch it later on. But again, these are probably your top-notch ones right here, as far as in the cheap way of going. But there is cheaper options. It might cost you a little bit more in the beginning, but as you keep going, these are going to cost you more in the long run, even though they're cheap. So beyond your white coffee filters, we have what we call reusable coffee filters, and they kind of look like this one here. This one is great for several reasons. One, it's got the open bottom, so the liquid can drain through the bottom, but also through all the sides, allowing for a more quicker strain. And they work great. Not only that, but they also will fit the white coffee filter right inside, like so. So it works out perfect. But we also have another type of filter besides this one, and it's the closed base. So the bottom on this one is completely closed off, and the reason why we use this one is for several reasons. Well, not several reasons, but for one main reason, and that's to slow down the pouring process. So as we're pouring the liquid through, we don't realize that we're probably just dumping it in there. When we do that, you are forcing the liquid and the sediment, which is your gold and your silver, through the filter. So what this will do is it actually will stop that fast flow, and it'll only make it come out the sides, which is exactly what we want. We want to slow down the process so the silver can start to gather up and catch. Once it starts to gather up and catch, it's over. You'll start catching all of the gold and all of the silver probably together, which is fine. So again, closed base, open base, your white filters, and then most importantly, your single cup curing. Now this one here is for that fine gold, which every one of us has an issue collecting for the most part, except for a select few. With that being said, these are great for many reasons. Why? The meshing is so tight that it's hard to get anything through it. Is this foolproof? No, it's not. You will lose some silver and gold, not as much as all the other filters, but you still will lose some. They're great, but they're also very small as well. They do have various of sizes, maybe a little bit bigger one, but they're not going to be huge by any means, not the size of these filters here. But this will catch fine gold, and it does do its job. So just keep that in mind. I recommend getting all of the filters. And the reason why is because we use what we call stages. I will run a 5-stage or a 6-stage filtration system. And what that's going to do for you is it's actually going to slow down the whole process as it goes through filter, filter, filter. It'll slow it down, and then you will actually start catching gold and silver on every level of those filters. So with that being said, obviously if you're going for your bigger flakes, which most of us do right away, that's our first go-to is let's get the big flakes out of the way. So when I first started, I didn't have a ton of money to invest in going out and purchasing things. I actually had to, make some stuff around the house, which is perfectly fine. That's what we want you to do. The least you can spend, the bigger the gain. Remember that, guys. So I actually had screen laying around the house. I took some old mayonnaise jars and pickle jars and stuff like that, and I cut the center out of that lid. And then I hot glued in some screen that I had lying around. I've had these for about a year now. They work phenomenal, and they're still ticking like I just made them yesterday. So again, be cost effective. If you guys have something around the house that you can use that instead of spending your money. But this one here, as you can see, has the bigger holes, which will allow the liquid to drain quick, but it's not so big that it won't catch your big flakes. So again, a little bit bigger hole so the draining process can go quicker, but it will still catch the bigger flakes. Now, let's say you've caught all your big flakes and you're ready to move on to start catching your fine gold. Now, every one of us, for the most part, has a little bit of trouble collecting that fine gold. Rightfully so. It is very, very tiny. Are any of these filters foolproof? Absolutely not. But if we combine filters together, now we're starting to slow down that process. And I'll show you as we go on. But again, bigger flakes, and then another homemade one for the smaller flakes. Much tighter meshing slows down the process because the meshing will not let the liquid flow as quickly. These pores get clogged, then it starts to collect gold and silver at a rapid pace. Now, again, it's not a guarantee. It's not going to catch everything, but it will work phenomenally with a combination of filters. So you have your bigger opening for your big flakes, your silver, and your fine flakes. And then, of course, your slew of selections on which filters to use. Okay. So as you're starting the process, you catch your big flakes. Let's say we're done. We've got all our big flakes, and now we're worried about how we're going to catch the fine gold. We already know we're having issues doing this. What are we going to do to help the process slow down or help us catch that gold? Well, what we're going to do is we're actually going to use a filtration system, is what I like to call it. Basically, what that means is you're going to combine filters together to slow down the process so that the filters can actually do their job and catch silver and gold. So what I do is I'll actually take the open base bottom here, and what I'll do is I'll use this first. Then I'll take another one just like it, and I will stack it right on top of each other. Then I will put my closed base in, right inside of it. Now all of these fit perfectly together, as you can see. Okay, so now this would be what we call a 3-stage filtration system. For some of you, this may work. For others, it may not. You may need more filters. So what I've done is I will take my screen with the tight meshing. I'll lay it right inside that cup. And then again, I'll do the same thing with another tight screen and lay it right on top. So now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5-filter system, okay? And what it's doing is each layer that the solution is going through is not only slowing down, but it's starting to catch. So again, this is needed for several different reasons. When we pour the solution in, it's going so fast right through the first, probably filter, maybe 2, that there's nothing to stop it. And that's what the closed base filter is for. So you have your 2 tighter meshings here. Okay. It's going to run through these pretty quickly. But when it gets to the 3rd filter and it hits the wall on the bottom, that's where we're going to start catching some real silver and gold. Okay. And the reason why is because it's like a wall. That solution hits the bottom of this, and then all of a sudden comes to a screaming halt, and that's when it starts to fill up because it cannot drain right through the bottom, which is exactly what we want. So once it hits this and it starts to come out the sides, then it'll start feeding into your bigger filter, okay? It's got the open bottom to allow the liquid to start draining fast. so that it doesn't clog up all the way. And then again, one more filter to just kind of keep that at a steady pace so you still have time for your solution and for the filters to catch the gold. So again, open bottom, closed bottom, and then your tight on the top. And then this will sit right on your coffee pot or whatever jug you're using, and then you will start to pour your solution in. Now, when you're pouring your solution in, just don't, tip it right over and, make a fast pour with it. Slow down. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and just lightly start pouring in the solution. You don't have to rush it. Rushing the solution through the filters is half the problem. We're trying to slow it down. We're not trying to hurry it up. Even though we want our gold, we still have to take our time. So as you pour in your solution slowly, and it's going through all the filtration, you will notice that some gold will start to catch. And that's perfect. Even if you don't get it all, which is perfectly fine, you can always go back and refilter it one more time, maybe two more times, if you have to. Now, let's say we've done this, our little 5-stage filtration system, and you just seem to can't get that super fine gold at the end. You know what I'm talking about. That lightly dusted, dust that just can't be caught. Well, there's a way. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this filtration system, the 5-stage, and we're going to do this. You're going to take your white coffee filter and you're going to set it right inside, like so. And then this will sit into the actual coffee maker where the grounds would go. Now what this is going to do, as it runs through all these filters, the last stop is this. And we both know this is about as tight as you're going to get. When it gets to here, everything is going to slow down immediately. And that's when you will catch your fine gold. Okay? Now, this works perfectly. There's other things you can use. Cheesecloth, pantyhose, even a shirt. Anything that it's tight on the meshing. That's what we're looking for. Slow it down and let the filters do the job for you instead of you having to refilter time and time again. Remember, guys, think outside the box a little bit. Sometimes that's all it takes. Beyond this right here, again, the white filters, your larger open bottoms, your closed bottom, and then if you have made some, you can always use your own tight net meshing. Now, there is one more that you can use, and it's the single shot curing. Now, these are phenomenal, and they do work great, but they are not foolproof like any of these. With this one here, the meshing is much tighter than any of the meshings that you had seen down here. And this will catch your fine gold. Matter of fact, they even make little filters now to fit these little Keurigs. Now, you can find them in a little bit bigger form, but not much bigger. They're supposed to be single shot coffees, or take cartridges. If you use the filter in here, which is fine, it's just another layer of the filtration system. So, you can always put your filters together and set this right on top. And then as you pour through the top of your filter, your small Keurig, and then let it drain out, and it goes through the others. Now it's a much slower process because the cup is smaller and you can only pour so fast, which is fine because that's what we're wanting you to do, is slow the process down. So if you pour through here and it starts to catch fine gold, that's perfect. It will catch fine gold on every level of your filtration system. That's great. Once it starts to get clogged up, remember those pores get clogged up, that's when it starts to collect a much quicker pace. And that's what we're all looking for. So remember tonight, guys, there's very many different choices of filters that you can use. These filters here are probably some of the best that you're going to find. Also, they're the most cost effective as well too. Remember, the white filters you'll have to keep buying over and over and over again. But the reusable filters, you'll buy one time and never have to buy them again unless you've damaged them somehow. So these in the long run will save you money. Now, can you use these without the white coffee filters? Possibly. Possibly. But you would buy way less of these if you had these. And that's the whole point. So, again, white filters, your Keurig, your big open bottoms, your medium closed bottom, and if you have made some of your own, you can always use your own tight meshing. All right, guys? So again, these are the different filters that we do use. Again, there's other choices, but these are probably your best choice. Just slow down the process. Don't get frustrated. And of course, if you ever have any issues or problems, you always know to reach out to me. And I'll do everything in my power to help you out. I hope this here tonight kind of gives you an idea of what filters to use and the reason why we use them and how to use them in a way to be able to catch your gold. All right, guys. Everyone, have a good night and go get that gold, baby.